That's all he did was just call me. He had just looked through my Grimm fairy tales, was struck by the art, the illustrations I had done for Grimm, and wondered if I liked the magic flute. And would I even consider, I was speechless, I mean, the magic flute, of course. That's all it was. And then he invited me to his house. And I had a meal with him and his wife, then she's still his wife. And his son, who was a little boy chick at that point. And we just decided that we would do it. The next thing I remember is a meeting with David Gockley at Frank's house. And David waiting till they were out of the room and turning to me and saying, you know, designing an opera is nothing like illustrating a book. Yes. All to myself. I never thought I could. I thought it was a craft that I would have to study, I should learn. And it is. I was very lucky because Frank put me in touch with some very good craftspeople. I think every opera we did together and watching Frank rehearse was one of the best things of my life. Because to see him bring these people to life. And unlike other opera directors who merely brought them to life in the common sense of the language of the opera or whatever was going on, he infused them with real life. So that these Mozart people and Janacek people, animals, or whatever we were doing, he was astonishing in his searching out the real business of these people. And it was opera before Frank was a kind of lifeless toy theater where they just stood and sang what they were supposed to. I always enjoyed it. I've loved opera since I was a teenager. But Frank brought that other dimension of reality, which some people didn't like. Like his, I think the first thing of his that I saw was his Traviata, and oh my God, it was painfully good. And those two words go together for Traviata. And then I knew Frank was an exceptional genius, a man who loved his music, loved his opera. I was not going to betray them into simple-minded sticks of people. So being asked by him, and of course, he was very famous. It was sort of a miracle. And then we just took off. But that's what was the good of our relationship, is that I could bring something to this. Otherwise, what am I there for? Just to paint temples? I had a point of view. I have a passion for Mozart. I mean, he is the passion of my life. To do the magic flute, I mean, and often the magic flute is done as though it were Hansel and Gretel. It's the opera to do, and is treated as badly as Hansel and Gretel, which is the worst thing possible because it's so much greater an opera than Hansel and Gretel. I could bring to him ideas and feelings that he respected. That became part of the scenery, became part of what was going on. So that it wasn't just a festival opera with a queen coming out of a geschrei of stars and beams, but that, what can I say? I think we were good partners. I think I helped him. I think I gave him things he needed. He was very quick to tell me when I gave him things he didn't need. And we had much more fun doing it because we were doing it for the first time anywhere. So there was a kind of playfulness and a kind of joyousness to the work that does not come easy with Mozart and Janacek and the other people we work with, composers. It was fun. He also understood childhood the way I felt I understood it. And Max was not a quaint, cute little butterfly boy. He was a real pain in the backside, as he is supposed to be. And, well, his is tough Italian. Mine was tough Jewish. We came from the Lower East Side part of life. Yes, there was a great deal between us that was typical of our backgrounds and our childhoods. And I remember when his son Andrew played one of the animals in Vixen. And Frank, who's tough, his criticism is wincing. And the boy, he'd done something that Frank liked. Something Frank wanted him to do that he hadn't done. And the boy said, "Hey, Dad, you're the director of this. I can do anything I want because my dad's the director, so I don't know what you can." And I want to. And Frank said, "But honey, it doesn't work like that." And I just stopped it. I said, "Listen, you can't get away with that. He is Frank Corsaro. You may not know that because you're merely his son, but I know it. And do not antagonize him. And if he says he doesn't like the way you do the bald eagle, do it again." And I felt this is what Frank wanted to say, but couldn't say. Animals eat each other. And Frank said that is so. And so it will be. Just like in Hansel and Gretel that we did. We killed off a kid. And there was so much anxiety about that because children all want to go see Hansel and Gretel. And my feeling is that it's a great story, but you cheapen it always by turning it into a kiddie thing. It is not a kiddie thing. It was not meant to be a kiddie thing. None of the Grimm tales were. They were tales about the suffering of life and the strength it took to live, survive, succeed. So when we killed off the little girl, and she was carried off stage solemnly by one of the wood nymphs, we got rid of the angels. I saw a production, which I will not say where I saw it, but it was horrendous, and all the angels looked just like Bette Midler. The hairdo, the wings, the whole thing. I thought, gut and Himmel, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. At the end of Hansel and Gretel, when we all went backstage and took our bows and then went backstage again, the audience kids were coming up. "Where's the dead girl? I want the dead girl's autograph." I think Frank was a maverick compared to most opera directors, most opera productions, which were prosaic and foreseeable. You knew what was going to happen. You certainly knew what was going to happen in Traviata, and it made me a lover of opera, but not of going to see opera. I wanted to stay home and listen to my great recordings. In that sense, but maverick is a word that implies something other than what Frank was doing, because he was enriching, he was climbing into the gut of the opera and presenting us with the depth of the work, like the Magic Flute. It is not a cute opera. It is a serious work. I don't know how people can forget that or why they forget that. But Frank didn't forget that, and I think the greatest luck of my life was to work with this, what you're calling, maverick, mensch, humane man who adored opera, who adored the music. I was not afraid to show it for what it was, or well, for what he saw in it. I have worked with writers who I couldn't stand. I would break away from such things. If it had not worked with Frank, if I had felt there was a collision between, because we both were very serious people. Frank is more fun than I am. He loves laughing. He loves making people laugh. I am different. So in the personal sense, we were very different. But I admired him so much as an artist who took a form that could be so prosaic and so tiresome and so wearying and boring and fill it with a kind of intensity in life, which is there. That's why Verdi wrote it. That's why Janacek wrote it. That's why Beethoven wrote it. How he handled this young woman who was a prostitute and who was a mensch of great dimension, so much more than anybody else in the whole show. Her ability to sacrifice, her ability to give, her ability to laugh, well, her ability to love. It's her. It's her. Unfortunately, I see Robert Taylor's face every time I want to describe. He was terrible in the movie. He's dead, so it's all right to say bad things. I think he's dead. He snared these people. Frank, he astonished you. He made you stop and say, my God, that's her? That's Marguerite? And everybody got touched in a way that shocked and surprised people and made them infatuated with the heroine or the hero. I wish I could remember other instances. But take an opera like Love for Three Oranges, which is an awfully silly opera. Delightful music. But even an opera with so slim a text and slim a point, if you could figure out what the point is. But I remember when we did that, I slowly began to fall in love with the score. And then when the prince is dancing with the princess, when she comes out of her orange, he makes her real. She's beautiful, she's enticing, she's entrancing. She's just not a girl dressed in an orange dress coming out of a silly-looking orange. He touched people with life. It's a gift. It's a rare gift. Very few artists have it. Very few artists live inside these people. It's so wonderful that he's kept working all these years and that he will keep working and that he will entice people and make them see how much more is going on stage than they thought.